write up. This is something we're really going to perfect in your next class, but I want to make sure that we can see what are we actually saying about the results when we use a two-way ANOVA. So you're going to need to copy all of the initial tables that come out in the two-way ANOVA, and then any plots that you make you can include. It's not required to include plots, but it's something you can do. When you're actually working on the write up, the first sentence in the two-way ANOVA is going to be your research question stated as a declarative sentence. So it's going to be just stating the research question. Because now that we have multiple tables and variables in play, we need to be really clear with what are we actually looking to do so that people aren't distracted by different things in the table. And then because it's too complex to list out the means and the standard deviations, in our result write up, we're going to just say the descriptive table shows the mean and the standard deviations. In your dissertation, that's a question you want to ask your chair because chapter 3 is a lot longer than a results write up for these courses. So you may want to report out and actually type it into a paragraph and have the mean and standard deviation reported for each group. And then we get into the meat of the ANOVA. So the test of between subject effect table tells us there was not a significant interaction between academic track and math grades on math achievement. I'm just going to italicize those while I'm here. So what does that mean? That is coming from reporting on the both of them interacting. So if I'm looking at how math grades and academic achievement are interacting in this ANOVA, there's something going on there, and it's not significant because I have a p-value of 0.56. So I fail to reject the null. So that's really important. Typically, we would want to state with the interaction between the two things first. So that's the first thing we would report. Then we're going to move into the individual pieces. So if I look at academic track and I go back to my table, academic track has a significant difference because I'm rejecting the null hypothesis that there's no difference. And so I'm going to need to use some of the information in this table. I'm going to use the value of 1 for my degrees of freedom, and I'm also going to use the F value in this column to report it out so that I have the F of 1 comma 71. And notice the 71 is coming from the error line here. So I'm reporting that F value because that is important to report out. And I'm reporting the p-value, which the table just said it was less than 0.001. And then the eta is 0.4. So this is where you're going to need the math textbook. So if I look at academic track, I see that I have an effect size of 0.163. And if I'm looking at that effect size, I need someone to tell me what it is. Or actually, I'm looking at 0.4. Sorry. So I'm looking at the 0.4. So what does 0.4 actually mean? So when I'm looking at 0.4, which I didn't get, so I think I typed that wrong. So if I'm looking at 0.163, what is that? Is that a large effect size? Is that a medium effect size? And so that's where you would need to go into your textbook and look for the eta squared discussion. Furthermore, there was a statistically significant difference on math grades and math achievement. And again, I'm just reporting out what I found. So my F of 1 comma 71 and my 14.77 is coming from the table. The 71 is coming from the error line. And then I'm also getting the information for the p-value. Again, the table just said less than 0.001. So that's what I'm left to go with. So again, now I'm going to go back into my table and I'm going to report out my eta score. So my eta score is going to come back from here and it's coming from this column. So disregard the value that I have typed there, but this is what I'm looking at. So if I look at math grades, I have an F value of 14.769. It is significant, and I have an effect size, a partial eta squared of 0.172. And so if I want to know if 0.172 is a medium, a large, a small effect size, I'm going to have to follow what the textbook says with the math piece. If you don't have a good math textbook, you're going to need to at least cite a good math textbook in your dissertation. But you can also look it up online on layered statistics. So that's just a sample write-up of the two-way ANOVA. It's short and to the point, But in your chapter 3, you would definitely expand upon it. But this is how you would actually describe the results to someone when you do a two-way ANOVA.